I do like a quiet car. Don't you? Yes, of course you do. Captain Ahab, was it a white whale that took off thy leg?
Aye, it was Moby Dick that tore my soul and body until they bled into each other.
Well, this is not a white whale. This is, in fact, a white automobile. Specifically, a Mazda CX-5 2022 edition with your 2.5 liter turbocharged engine and the signature trim package, which means it's as loaded as a whale when it comes to stuff. It's got a lot of stuff on it. It's also a very elegantly designed car and has a lot of excellent features. This particular all-wheel drive unit is kind of a sport utility, or as we like to call them, a crossover. And here is your Monroney. There we go. 22 miles per gallon city, 27 highway. Pretty much typical for the class, actually. And it has all kinds of goodies. The official name of the white paint job, incidentally, is Snowflake White Pearl. And the interior is a lovely Cantura brown. Interesting. A color I've never encountered in nature, to the best of my knowledge. But it's a very, very nice car. And you could buy one if you wanted to. But do you want to? Well, hopefully I'll give you some information that will help you make this momentous decision. Let me tell you something about these Mazdas. The Mazda automobile is designed with an ethos called Kodo. And according to the head of Mazda Design, Mr. Akio Maeda, which I hope I got that even close to right, Mr. Maeda, it involves seeing the beauty of instantaneous motion in a living creature can be a striking, emotional, inspiring experience. Fascinated with this feeling, the Mazda designer relies on his honed aesthetic sensibilities to recreate it in a beautiful, pure, three-dimensional form. So what do you think? Well, I think it's kind of a beautiful little car. You can see what he's talking about. It flows very nicely. And unlike it, let's contrast the horse trailer. No Kodo. But here, Kodo. Beautiful car, actually, and it has a very, very lovely white paint, pearl white paint job. But I know what you're thinking and wondering about. You want to know what's under the hood, being the motorhead that you are. So we shall now take a look. We now move from the world of Kodo to the world of Skyactiv G technology, which is another Mazda design ethos, more of an engineering side, to try to enhance efficiency, performance, lightweight, all that good stuff. Here we have our little 2.5 liter four-cylinder engine, and it is turbocharged because that seems to be the way everybody's doing it these days. And up front here, this is the intake side. No, sorry, do I tell a lie? I can't tell. Actually, that looks like where the turbocharger is located on this. That's interesting because sometimes it's in the front, sometimes it's in the back. And if we go around in the rear here, yeah, I think that's the fuel supply, air supply juncture for this particular turbocharger situation.
Wait a minute. Strike that. Reverse it. Thank you.
And you wonder now, what about horsepower? Well, it gets 227 horsepower unless you're a very, very wealthy owner, in which case, and you can put that $95 a gallon premium in it, and you'll get 256 horsepower. Torque, 310 pounds of feet with regular gas, and this goes to 320 if you indulge in premium, because that's how you are. You're an indulger. I've seen you roll into the fuel bay, and eye with great lust the premium higher octane stuff. But if you spend for it, you should. That's quite an increase actually when you think about it, just by using a higher octane gas. But that's the way of it. That's what you can do if you are so inclined. Mr. Starbuck, go aft. So we're going to take a look back here in the hatch area. And there we are. Very generous. As you can see, we have the, looks like triple fold down situation depending on your cargo configuration. And what have we here? A spare tire. It's temporary, but it's substantial. It looks to have the same diameter as the other tires, which is what you need when you have an all-wheel drive situation. And this is, after all, an all-wheel drive car. Did I mention that earlier? I don't know if I did or not, but it is. Hey kids, here's fun. This car has 75-inch wheels. Nah, it doesn't. Moby Dick would have 75-inch wheels if Moby Dick was a car, but this is these are 19s. Very attractive aluminum alloy with very substantial brake calipers and rotors, it looks like. So on the road we'll see how potent they are, but I think they're probably pretty good. And look up here, look at this wonderful headlight array. Just from a styling standpoint, you gotta love it. It's pretty great. Yeah, I do. Take a ride with me. Oh, won't you come take a ride with me? Come, take a ride with me. Come take a ride with me. Off we go to places unknown. Take a ride with me. Bye-bye now, going on a ride. One thing Mazda has always had in their back pocket with their Skyactiv design is some very good suspension engineers, because the cars hit that magic balance between ride compliance and comfort and very responsive handling. And that's pretty much, I haven't driven a Mazda lately that hasn't really displayed very, very excellent driving manners. And the CX is one of those. It does a very nice job. A lot of that is also a part and parcel of the fact that it's a real nice size. It's, I would call it kind of a little larger than a compact crossover and a little bit smaller than a midsize. So it's kind of in there. But as I think I mentioned before, maybe I didn't, maybe I wasn't talking to you, Mazda has a great selection in terms of size. You've got your, your CX-30, CX-5, CX-50 now, CX-7, and then the great large, closer to being the actual white whale, if you get it in white, which is the CX-9, 3-row. And that thing is a beast in the best sense. got a ton of room in it. And but it doesn't sacrifice any driving manners or anything else for that. It's a great all-around car. This I like even more though, because for a lot of people I think it's a much more practical size, and it's fun to drive. I would call this fun driving Farfignutten, but for those of you old enough to remember, that was Volkswagen's term, and which many people modified for their own personal use and called it Funkengrooven. And we have Kodo here. We are Kodo. That is what we do in our Mazdas. And I love the fact that they have a design philosophy and stick to it. It's one of those things when you have the building of an automobile is a much more complex process than a lot of people realize, especially when it comes to design and all the different needs that it has to satisfy, all the different departments it has to get signed off on. It's really, really complicated. And when you can get a car out there that is like a balanced, cohesive whole, it seems like it was practically designed by one person because everything is so well integrated. You've really accomplished something. And this is one of those cars. It just feels right. Horse and rider as one. Here's something I really like about the instrument cluster. If you look at 65 miles per hour on the speedo, that's your speed limit. It tells you the speed limit. On the right side, you see a little sign that says 65. I think that's extremely convenient. Now, here's something I don't like about this instrument cluster, or actually the front of the car. The windshield. Can you see that rather annoying thing in your line of sight? That is, of course, the heads-up display. Very popular in a lot of cars these days, but I don't like it. But on this Mazda, look what you got to do in order to get rid of it. You got to go into the main menu, and then settings, and then you got to go to in-vehicle displays. And then you have to go to active driving display, which is what they call their heads-up display. And then you got to go down to driving display content, and boom, gone. And that's how you get rid of it. But the bad thing about that is you have to do that every single time you start the car. If I turn the car off, like so, start it back up, and there it is. It's back. It's back. So that's the thing I don't like about it. And see, now the car is fighting with me because I don't have my seatbelt on yet. I'm not moving. Hey man, chill, chill. Otherwise, this is a very handsome instrument cluster. I do like it. But man, that heads-up display, we need an on-off switch, Mazda. I've been saying this for years. I even emailed you about it. And you responded that, well, there's nothing we can do about that. And that was like 3 years ago, so please do something. Please. Here in the console area, here's your commander control knob, which you use primarily for the navigation system, radio, and that kind of thing. And if we go forward, of course, here's our shifter. And our shifter is a 6-speed automatic with a manual mode. Go down into drive, and you can also kick it over into manual mode. And you can shift using the stick itself, forward and backwards. Or you can use the lovely paddle shifters that are located on the steering column. The right one is to advance a gear, and the left one is to retard a gear. Go to a lower gear, as they say. It's amazing. Also, let me show you something else that I found. I found this absolutely startling. I opened that glove box. It's a Kodo designed glove box, and I found this, the owner's manual. And look, it is a vast volume. It will take you days to get through it, and believe it or not, it doesn't even have the any information on the audio or navigation systems, which I assume is in a different manual, but this car doesn't appear to have it. Probably stolen by some journalist. But there's plenty of room for it. You can take it and you can put it in this little bag that it has.
right here. Hang on, here, sit here for a minute. Just be quiet and sit there and behave yourself. There we go. All right.
Very nice interior overall. I like it. It seems to have an air of quality. There's a lot of hard plastic in it, but everything has a lot of hard plastic these days. But in this excellent little CX-5, you will find happiness. And there's very decent space in the back, by the way. That's where I am. If you're wondering if I'm actually looking through the back of the car window, no, I'm in the back seat. Very comfy. As you will recall, I made a mistake earlier that was corrected by a Mr. Wonka. But I want to get back into this just to make sure that I make myself clear, even though this is not something that's critically important, but I find it interesting. Okay, on this particular Mazda 2.5 liter turbo engine, the turbocharger is mounted on the back, here down this way here. It's mounted at the back part of the engine, whereas on the front part of the engine, we have what? The fuel injection side. That's where the air supply and the fuel supply goes in. And the heat that is generated, with turbocharging, you get an awful lot of heat generated by the turbocharger itself. And it can also be difficult to access in certain places if it needs any kind of repair, servicing, whatever. So most manufacturers seem to be putting it with an inline, and here's your inline 4-cylinder right here. It's running this way, 1, 2, 3, 4 pistons this way. And then you have in the front, fuel injection. In the back, turbocharger. So that's the way most of them are doing it. However, I have another white car here.
It's a right wheel, I say.
Another white SUV that just happens to be here. And you're going to see a lot more of it coming up. I will do a full review of this very, very nice vehicle. This is also a 4-cylinder turbocharged engine. And what does it have? It has a turbocharger that is found in the front. See if I can get down there. There we go. That's where the turbocharger is located, in the front of the engine. And in the back part of the engine is where all your fuel supply comes in, your fuel injection, everything else. Here's your cylinders, 1, 2, 3, 4, underneath there. And that's the way they do it. So the turbocharger's out up front and all this heat is being generated right here, right in this area here. Whereas on that other car, the Mazda 2.5 liter, you have the heat being generated in the back. This car is, let's see, 2.5 liters. And this car is 1.5 liters, much smaller. So as a result, you get 170 horsepower out of the Ecotec GMC engine, and you get 227 horsepower out of the 2.5 liter turbocharged engine on the Mazda CX-5. That's 256 horsepower if you put in the premium fuel, just so you know. So there you go, man. That's an interesting way of doing it. 2 different placements of the turbocharger, 2 different inline 4-cylinder engines, 2 different SUVs. I would call the Terrain a little bit larger than the CX-5, but we'll get more into that when we actually do the Terrain. But anyway, that's what that's all about. And we are about out of time. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the CX-5, and please drive safely and stay healthy. Gesalke wollen, es empfiehlt ein